You can't help but you kind of feel sympathy for J.D. Vance having to defend Donald Trump, who he himself openly denounced. It's kind of like being Diddy's defense attorney, you know? And
So he would veto a federal abortion ban?
I think he would. He said that explicitly, that he would.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came to
Well, I
your
won't
desk?
have to.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. in all fairness.
Hold onto your seats, my friends, because Jimmy Kimmel just unleashed a late-night obliteration so savage, J.D. Vance might need a GPS to find his dignity. This wasn't your average roast. Kimmel ripped through Vance's political flip-flops, sold-out principles, and MAGA bootlicking with surgical precision. Every punchline landed like a knockout, exposing the hypocrisy Vance has been hiding behind. Once upon a time, not even that long ago, J.D. Vance was parading around as the intellectual cowboy of Middle America, the tough-talking, Yale-educated best-selling author who had no problem tearing Trump apart with surgical precision. He was supposed to be the voice of reason, the conservative outsider who spoke truth to power and still had dirt under his fingernails. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It is free and help us bring you enjoyable content. And of course, watch till the end. But fast forward to now, and what do we have? The exact same guy,
Vance celebrated his Zelensky sucker punch with a ski trip. The Vance traveled to the Sugarbush Resort, which coincidentally, Sugarbush is also J.D. Vance's Secret Service code name. But Vance, I think he picked the wrong state to relax him, because when he got to Vermont, he was greeted by hundreds of protesters.
It's so hard into a Trump cheerleader. You half expect him to show up at Mar-a-Lago in full pom-pom regalia. The transformation is so jarring, so complete, it deserves its own Marvel origin story, the incredible shrinking backbone. Jimmy Kimmel wasted zero time torching the whole act. He highlighted how Vance's flip-flop isn't just a mild shift in perspective, it's the political equivalent of selling your soul at a garage sale and throwing in your self-respect as a free bonus. Kimmel went to town, exposing how Vance abandoned every principle he sold to the public, stuffed it in a MAGA hat, and now marches lockstep behind the very man he once warned America about. It's almost poetic, watching the once defiant voice reduced to nodding along while Trump bungles interviews, rants about crowd sizes, and rage posts at 3 a.m. Kimmel didn't even have to stretch. The material wrote itself. How does someone go from scathing critic to sycophantic yes man without pulling a muscle? Simple. Sell out, pretend it's strategy, and hope no one notices. Except
The main event from last night was the crowning of Donald Trump's MAGA movement heir apparent. No, not that guy. No. There you go. The other dark-haired, bearded dude right in front of that one, J.D. Vance. I got to tell you something, man. That ain't right. It's like for vice president, Donald selected the actor who would be hired to play Don Jr. in the Lifetime movie.
everyone noticed, especially Jimmy. The irony is thick enough to cut with a knife. Vance built his brand criticizing the very kind of hollow political grifters he's now emulating. Watching him cling to Trump like a life raft is like seeing a man desperately trying to rewrite his own Wikipedia page in real time, while the receipts are everywhere. Kimmel made sure those receipts were front and center, turning it into a late-night clinic on how to spot a sellout in real time. No mercy, no soft jabs, just relentless, surgical takedowns that left Vance's credibility lying flat on the studio floor. Kimmel didn't hold back, mocking how Vance suddenly developed a southern drawl out of nowhere, like it was a free accessory with every Trump rally. He joked about how the former best-selling memoirist is now standing behind Trump with the same glazed look Mike Pence had during 4 years of being a human prop. Every punchline landed because Vance's transformation wasn't subtle, it was screamingly obvious. Kimmel turned it into a full-fledged roast.
The former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists, where he said that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all?
They don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody, and she pretends to be somebody different depending on which audience she's in front of. I think it's totally reasonable for the president to call that out.
Exposing the hypocrisy and lack of authenticity at the core of Vance's political rebranding. In the end, Kimmel's takedown wasn't just about the flip-flopping. It was about how shameless Vance is while doing it. He's not trying to hide the hypocrisy. He's just banking on voters.
Trump's running mate, Maybelline brand ambassador J.D. Vance, he enjoys taking questions from the press at his appearances so the crowd can boo the reporters. I guess that's fun for him. So at a campaign stop in Detroit, a reporter asked him about these calls with Putin, and J.D. doesn't seem to have any problem with them at all.
Being too distracted by culture wars and gas prices to notice that their senator is cosplaying as someone he used to warn them about. Kimmel joked that Vance's transformation was so severe, scientists should be studying him for signs of political shape-shifting. Forget lizard people, just look at Vance's timeline. If you mapped his positions over time, it would look like a toddler's Etch-a-Sketch after espresso. The sad part is, Vance still wants to be seen as an intellectual.
And my biggest problem with Trump, and there are many, many things to pick out, but my biggest problem with Trump is that his message to the right, especially the white working class of which I came from, is anti-conservative and in some ways anti-American. It's fundamentally that the deck is so stacked against you that unless I'm the president, nothing that you do will change your life's outcomes. I think it's wrong, and I think it's very self-destructive.
He'll go on a rant about masculinity and the decline of Western values. Then 10 minutes later, he's tweeting about how Trump is basically Moses with better branding. It's the intellectual equivalent of drinking mountain.
And so one of the takeaways is not just that the Republican Party base is somehow fundamentally flawed in a way that's unique in American political history. It's that Trump is a really bad candidate and, frankly, I think a really bad person.
You out of a wine glass and calling it culture. Kimmel didn't just clown J.D. Vance, he exposed him. Because once you take away the book deal, the fake drawl, and the political cosplay, what's left? A man who traded in principles for proximity, a politician who thought no one would notice if he rebranded overnight like a failed influencer launching a podcast.
I'm running to be your next vice president of the United States, and I'm incredibly honored to stand here and ask you for your vote and ask you for your hard work. But if we win, and I believe that we are going to win in 33 days, my friends, I feel very confident about it.
And JD, he took the bait, because these guys always do. You can dish out hot takes on Twitter all day, but the second a late-night host hits you with a 5-minute monologue, suddenly it's all, this is unfair.
Watch. Do we have a president? He just got back from California. He was supposed to go to the White House. He never got there. He went to Delaware, and he's laying on a beach sleeping all day long. No, seriously, who the hell wants to sleep? And who wants to sleep in public? He's sleeping. Do you think President Xi of China is at a beach sleeping? Do you think Kim Jong-un is sleeping from North Korea with his nuclear weapons all over the place? They don't sleep so much. Did you see Barack Hussein Obama last night? Take little shots. He was taking shots at your president.
And late-night comedy is biased. Like, buddy, this isn't bias. It's a roast, and you're the turkey. JD's problem isn't just that he changed his mind. It's that he denied ever having one to begin with. He's out here rewriting history like it's a deleted scene from The Apprentice, hoping no one finds the receipts. But this is 2023, my friends. The receipts aren't just saved. They're archived, screenshotted.
99% of the country, they don't vote on who the vice presidential nominee. They're voting for Donald Trump or for Kamala Harris, not for JD or Tim Walz, right? But what I think that he does believe, because he made it the main focus of his vetting process, is, do I think this person can be president on day one if, God forbid, something happens? Yes. So I absolutely am sure that Donald Trump is confident in my abilities. I also think that he's right, that the politics of this...
And waiting for their moment. And as JD gets deeper into MAGA world, the cringe levels only rise. Every interview, every tweet, every attempt at culture war commentary sounds like a guy trying to win a radio contest for best Trump impersonation. It's almost sad. Almost. But not really, because this is what happens when you throw out your spine and replace it with polling data. Kimmel exposed the truth. JD Vance isn't a leader. He's a rebrand, a product, a knockoff political figure slapped together in a focus group, shrink-wrapped in culture war buzzwords, and shoved onto the Senate floor like a malfunctioning action figure that just repeats, "Trump was right every time you pull the string." And just like Trump before him, JD Vance is learning the hard way that comedy is truth's best friend. Nothing exposes a phony quite like a well-placed punchline, and Kimmel wielded that power with the precision of a master surgeon. So, my friends, let this be a lesson to all those political opportunists out there. When the comedians come out to play, it's best to tread lightly. Because as Jimmy Kimmel has shown us, the power of laughter can be a mighty weapon, one that can topple even the mightiest of egos. Now, go forth and share this epic takedown with your friends and family. Together, we can ensure that the truth always triumphs, even in the face of the most shameless political charades.